spiral. Horton back at his own 5. Gets one block, gets 2 blocks, turns upfield. Got some running room across the 30, 35. He may go 40. What a block. To midfield, 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Mr. Horton. Touchdown, Seahawks. Pushes him at 35. Look at him go. He's down to 20, 15. He could go. He is going to go. Touchdown, Seahawks. Oh, my word. A 67-yard run. Marshawn Lynch. Unbelievable. The beast is alive and well.
Welcome in, everyone, to a special live edition of the Hawks Eye. I'm Bryce Cooch, your host as always, and I'm joined today by Seahawks Sam from Australia. We got a Seahawks fan down under, as the saying generally goes, and it's great to have you on the show, Sam. Welcome to the Hawks Eye.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. I'm excited to talk Hawks football.
Yeah, so Sam, let's kind of give all my viewers here an idea for you. Like, you're obviously based down in Australia. Whereabouts in Australia are you based?
Melbourne, or as you guys might say, Melbourne. Yeah, I'm in Melbourne.
Okay.
I've been there my whole life. So, yeah, big sports fan down here.
Awesome. And so, like, how did you become a Seahawks fan of all things, given, you know, you're in Australia? Like, what are the big teams that are down there, and how did you end up becoming a Seahawks fan?
Well, NBA was the first sport I got into, like, from America, and we've got the AFL down here in Australia, so that was the first sport I ever followed, but I always had a knack. I wanted to get into football, and shout out our guy, well, some of us may not like him anymore, but rookie Russell Wilson. I was watching his highlights on YouTube, and then I stuck with the Seahawks from there. And it's kind of sad seeing how Russ's career is unfolding right now, but he got me into the Seahawks, so I've stuck with him through all the ups and downs. We don't have to talk about the downs. But yeah, so it's just been something I've looked forward to every single September. It's kind of my life now. And I figured, why not do something about it and post Hawks content? So
that's awesome, man. Like, I've checked out a bunch of your stuff, and it's great content. So for anyone on our chat right now that's in, go check it out on TikTok or Instagram. And what's the handle for it exactly, Sam?
Seahawks_Sam on IG and TikTok.
Yeah. So guys, if you have either one of those, go give Sam a follow over there. But tonight's show is kind of be a little bit more of a relaxed one. We're basically going to talk about kind of the state of the Hawks, get Sam's opinions on it, maybe touch a little bit of the Thursday night, look ahead to the Bucks, and then kind of look ahead to what the rest of the NFL is going to be up to on Sunday, since we get the mini bye as much as the players do, and we can kind of sit back and watch some Sunday football without having our heart rates go racing up and down throughout a Sunday. So, Sam, let's talk about the state of the Hawks here. They're 3-1. They're rolling. Realistically, as we both know, they probably should be 4-0.
Absolutely. Yeah.
From your opinion, what is fueling the hot start for Seattle right now?
It's got to be the defense. And before the season started, my projection was that we'd be a top 5 unit in the entire league. And I'm hoping that's the case when it's all said and done. And we're not allowing many points scored. And I think the depth of the secondary, we've obviously had some issues with players like Riq, and but I'm really excited from a defensive point of view, the fact that we can hold teams to low scoring, and the offense, I think, is just doing its job right now. Week 1 looked a little bit shaky, but I'm quite happy with what Sam Darnold's doing. He's looking like a top 10 quarterback in the league, and I think it goes to show it's situation and a good O-line. That's how a quarterback produces, you know what I mean? So I'm happy. I am still a little bit skeptical. I got to see more from Clint Kubiak, but I think it's the defense that's holding us down for sure.
Yeah, no, I think the defense is definitely fueling the hot start, along with, actually, ironically enough, the special teams unit that we were also terrified about in the preseason. The offense is getting going. There's obviously still areas from, I think, improvement. And I even think there's areas for improvement on this defense, from the fact that, you know, we're talking about the fact they haven't been able to use Nicky Manwari outside of the first drive or half a drive he played in the 49ers game. He's already apparently told Richard Sherman post-game of the Cardinals game that he will be playing against the Bucs. So it'll be interesting to see what Macdonald does with having Nicky Manwari back in there. What would you say outside of the defense and obviously Sam Darnold's performance are some of the biggest takeaways you've had through the first 4 games of this season so far?
I really like the creativeness of some of the offense. Like sometimes there's been some plays that are like, what are you doing, Clint Kubiak? But then the play action is really effective. The run game against the Cardinals wasn't as efficient. And I feel like K9 and Sharp had to fight for every yard. We had Charles Cross pushing Sharp in for that tud. But like, I think the run game's been decent enough for the play action game. And Sam's just hitting every single target. He's got an arm and he's accurate. And we saw that throw, even some throws that weren't complete. That one to Arroyo in the end zone against the Cardinals, that was a dart. That was just perfect throw. And I think it comes down to execution. And Sam's he's just executing. Like his stat line at the end of the day isn't out of this world. He's not putting up Josh Allen numbers, but I think we're just doing enough. So I think the offense is going to just keep improving. And I've seen some signs that give me some optimism.
Yeah, so like obviously we'll talk about the O-line here, and today I saw a clip on Twitter of someone that kind of pulled all of Anthony Bradford's horrible reps in the Cardinals game and is stating that he's still a horrible offensive lineman. Now, I'll say one thing, he did play through a back injury, which I think was, rather crucial for, a guard to deal with. It's hard. You're constantly having to anchor, and we don't know where that back injury was. Was it lower? Was it mid? Was it upper? I will say, though, Anthony Bradford is serviceable, I think, to a point.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to go, okay, do they make a move to try and get another guard potentially if he starts being the main reason this offense is held back from being truly like a fully functioning unit? And not that it's not a full functioning unit, but we're talking about a run game that we've been promised this run game. We saw glimpses of it in preseason when everyone's playing base defenses. There's nothing crazy going on, not a lot of stuns. And now that teams are game planning, we're starting to see, issues with it. Like, again, they did run for 155 yards on Thursday night, but it wasn't like a clean 155 yards.
No.
And what I'll say is, and I know some people, are talking about Mark Schlereth coming on to 7-10, and he's talking about, well, the run game, it takes time. And I totally agree. Like, I'm not expecting this unit to be a full, blown functional unit yet. But I guess my biggest thing is I want to see more 5-yard runs than less of them. And right now we're seeing more of the 0-yard runs than we are seeing 5 or 4-yard runs. Mm-hmm. And that's what, I'm not expecting home runs. Like, I think that's one thing that's K9 tried to do too much of in the Cardinals game, which he did a much better job against the Steelers with, which was take what the defense gives me. When the opportunity arises, I'll go. And I think he gets a little impatient with the easy runs and the just bang it in there and get 4. He wants the big ones. How do you think this run game progresses through this season, Sam?
Well, it's been a massive topic amongst all 12s. Like, who is our RB1? Like, is this a committee? Like, who is the guy? And I think you just pointed out Charbonnet and K9, they're both different runners. They're different running backs. And I think on paper, Kenneth Walker is the far more talented back. But as you just mentioned, I think sometimes he's not patient enough, like going up the middle or finding just an easy hole. And I think that's what Sharp does better. But then it's proven difficult to get one guy going or both of them going at the same time. So I think from a fantasy perspective, I apologize to all people playing fantasy football. It's going to be hard to know who that guy is going to be. But yeah, I think you're right. We just need to be able to push the chains, get those 5-yard gains. And K9 needs to understand that not every play is going to be a home run. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. The one thing I will say that I've been more than happy with this team this year compared to past is their red zone efficiency. And their opening drive generally have been pretty successful. We've been able to go down, the field and score. So it's been nice to see that change for the Seahawks. But I'll ask you this. Give me 2 players whose stock has gone up for you over the first month of the season from where it maybe was in the offseason, and 2 players whose stock has gone down for you.
Are we talking offensively, defensively, anyone on this
Your
team?
choice. With 53-man rosters open. Well, in this case, as we know as Seahawks fans, the 70-man roster is open for you, Sam.
Well, I can say like the blatantly obvious ones. It's another breakout for JSN, and I think he's looking like a top 5 receiver in the league. I think he was looked as more of maybe a top 10, top 12 going into the season. We didn't know how our offense was going to look because who is the true or 1B or who is the true number 2 receiver? But we've had so many players stepping up, and I'm really also liking our usage of the tight ends. I'm liking the use of AJ Barner and Arroyo. And we spent second round capital in Arroyo as well. So you've got to be seeing that. In terms of stock rising, man, I mean, Josh Jobe, I think, is a pretty obvious one as well. He's stepping up, and I'm concerned about Riq Woolen going into the future because I like Riq a lot, but I think fans are turning on him. But from an offensive standpoint, I'd say JSN is just going to that elite tier. He's proving, I think, we don't have to be overly concerned about the second option on this team because Sam can clearly deal, and he's dealing to everyone. And as long as we got that alpha receiver, which proved to be right in the second half of that Cardinals game, like when he needed that guy, he got it to JSN. So I'd say that's my guy there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to give my credit to Josh Jobe.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to go stock up my 2 guys, Sam Darnold. And the reason why I say Sam Darnold is stock up, and I think some people think it's easy picking fruit, but in this offseason, there were a lot of questions about whether Sam was going to be able to have success like he's having right now. New scheme, new system, was last year just a flash in the pan. And we're seeing that, no, Sam Darnold has clearly taken a step in his professional career where this is like the new norm for Sam Darnold. And, Colin Cowherd, as much as he has awful takes sometimes, he brought up a really good one. When you look at where Sam was positioned in his early career, like when he was in high school, he was a winner. When he was in USC, he was a winner. He was a great college quarterback at USC. And then he came into the NFL at 21 and went to one of the worst franchises in football in the New York Jets, who have yet to find a quarterback that functions there. They've tried just about everything, every head coach in some aspect or another, and it's never worked. He then goes to Carolina, where Baker Mayfield almost went, or actually, did go. And again, bad head coach, bad players around him, not a good system. Sam carried that team a little bit down the stretch of one of the seasons where he got them to be, I think, 4-2 down the stretch of the final 6 games. Then he goes and sits here. And that was the big thing for me that I think I give Sam Darnold the most credit for. You're the 3rd overall pick in the 2018 draft, and you're only 5 years into your career, and you decide, or 6 years into your career, and you decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to go be a backup to a 7th round pick in Brock Purdy and be humble enough to go and learn from someone that is younger than me, that doesn't have the pedigree that I had coming into the league, but I'm going to humble myself enough to go and learn. Goes and learns and takes some things away from that, goes to Minnesota. And now I think Minnesota fans are kicking themselves that they bet the farm on JJ McCarthy instead of giving Sam Darnold his contract.
Oh, man.
And we kind of lucked out and we're able to get, I think, a guy who's 27. And personally, I think he may, if this season continues the way it's going, and he's not lighting the world on fire. That's the thing. It's not like he's out throwing 300, 400 yards. Like we're talking about a game in the last one where he threw for just over 240 yards. And 26 times. Like he's not throwing the ball 35, 40 times in a game. I think you're looking at potentially Seattle's next franchise quarterback. And there's, a bet to be said that maybe if he plays this well throughout this whole year, they win a playoff game or even 2, Sam Darnold doesn't get an extension added to this deal that he is currently on. So they lock him up going farther. So he would be my one stock up. My other stock up would be Byron Murphy. We're seeing Byron Murphy become the player that we thought we were drafting. He's being impactful. I know a lot of people would think, well, Leonard Williams, but Leonard Williams' stock hasn't really gone up for me. It's what I expect of Leonard Williams now. It's just what he did last year. So Byron Murphy's my other one. My stock down, I got to go with, obviously, Riq Woolen. It's low-hanging fruit, but Riq, I thought maybe in this offseason, what I saw even when I was at training camp, he looked like he was starting to maybe turn back into who we thought, and we've seen a lot of struggles from Riq. I hope he turns it around, but his stock's definitely down. And then the other one for me, and this may surprise some people right now, at this point in the season, Abe Lucas's stock is down for me a little bit. And the reason I say that is he has struggled in pass pro, even against the Cardinals the other night. He's struggling. And I think there's a bit of an issue with his elbow. I'll say that. But it's just like he he's lost a lot of weight. You can tell, and he's leaned out and gotten upper built more from where he was. And that might have to do with the knee injury he's coming off of, but he just hasn't necessarily been as dominant consistently as I thought. So I don't know if it's a stock down or I don't know what to do with the stock of Abe Lucas currently, but it's not where I thought it would be at this point. So that's my stock up and stock down so far.
Yeah, Abe definitely concerns me. And when I saw that contract extension come out, I was surprised, man. Like, I love Abe Lucas. When he's been on the field, for the most part, think he's been good. But putting that deal, inking that up, I thought it was a bit too soon. We don't know what's going on at training camp. He's put in a lot of work to rehab that knee and strengthen that up, and massive credit to him. But I don't know, from a franchise perspective, I thought that was a little bit risky. I don't know. But 100% with Riq as well. I was very hyped going into this season. I'm thinking it's a contract year. He knows he needs to prove himself. Can we get a 2022 Riq Woolen? But it's not looking too good. I completely agree with Sam Darnold, though. I think you've perfectly described the man. He's just humble, and the fact he was able to sit behind Purdy. You're absolutely right, and he's just learned. And I hate all the haters, the Vikings haters that go, oh, he succeeded because he had, Jay Jettas, he had Jordan Addison to throw to. He played behind a decent O-line. He played with one of the best offensive-minded head coaches in football. But you don't throw 35 touchdowns over 4,000 yards by accident. And the game against the Rams, their O-line collapsed. That's a good D-line. I give credit to Sam Darnold. And there's some stats I have here, like the game-winning drive against Arizona, that was his 7th in 2 years, I believe. And it's tied with Mahomes. He's, like you were saying, he's not putting up Josh Allen numbers, but he's poised, he's efficient, and he delivers. And I think he's just doing what he needs to do as a franchise quarterback.
No, I agree. And I'm just going to bring some up here. Rockman comes in. Love to see you in the chat, man. He goes, didn't Abe hurt his elbow? Probably affecting his pass protection. I totally agree with you. And I'll give Abe the benefit of the doubt the first 2 weeks. You had TJ Watt and Nick Bosa. Like, not exactly the two easiest pass rushers to start your season again. But even against the Saints and the Cardinals, yes, there's an issue to his elbow. But if you're not able to really do your job, that's going to be something you got to kind of waver and battle with. Again, it's not that I'm saying I'm down on Abe Lucas to the point where I'm like, I don't want Abe Lucas out on the field. It's just from where I saw him at training camp to where he is currently, it feels like a little bit of an undersell for me. Like, he looked dominant in training camp when they were doing things. And even in the preseason, we saw him do really well. And then to come into the season and not maybe play that same way. And you're right, Rockman. I think, it could be his elbow that's bothering him, but that's, something that recently has popped up. So hopefully Abe gets his legs back underneath him and, this O-line as a whole, because I didn't have a problem with the contract after what I saw from Abe in training camp. I think it's a really good deal that in 3 years we'll look back on and go, wow, we got a top 15, maybe top 10 right tackle in the NFL at top $20 market value, which is going to be great as the salary cap goes up. And I think him and Charles Cross as the two bookends make things easy. Like, I look at this right now and I go, the only two spots on Seattle I think could still need upgrading depending on how the season goes. One is Jalen Sundell at center. Like, he's doing okay, but if there's an opportunity to get someone that's better in there, maybe that's what they do. And the right guard position. We know Christian Haynes isn't the answer. We know Anthony Bradford is just kind of a plug-and-play guy right now. Is there going to be someone in the draft they go after for the right guard spot? Because Gray Zabel, Charles Cross, and Abe Lucas are locked in. It's that two other spots in the interior that they're going to be looking at. But let's kind of move over to the offense here, Sam. And we'll take a little bit of a spotlight look at the offense. So you talked about JSN. Did you expect this from JSN? Like, you saw him break out last year, and we saw him towards the second half of that season kind of become Gino's go-to guy. Did you expect him to be this impactful in this system this quickly for the Seahawks?
Well, I had confidence in my guy. I think I'm in 14 fantasy leagues, and I drafted him in all of them I could, to be honest, every single one. He's producing, and I think the fact he plays in the slot, he's just reliable. He's that go-to guy for Sam. I didn't expect it to be this elite. I did expect another breakout, but to be this reliable, and we're talking top 5 in the league talks, I'd be lying if I said I was expecting that. I'm really happy with how he's producing, and the way he's tracking, he could finish up as the wide receiver 1, 2, 3. Like, sky's the limit for this kid. He's in a Ohio State wide receiver product. So
he is that definitely. I would say at this point, it or LSU is considered wide receiver U, and the thing for me with JSN is I think what has impressed me the most. And I thought he could do it coming out of college, even though he didn't play really outside in college. He didn't have to, given the other weapons they had there in Olave and Garrett Wilson. He's proven you can put him all over the field and he is going to win. He's going to win his rep. Like, if he is purely a slot, and I'll do this, slot receiver, the fade balls outside that he's been catching, the back shoulder throw that he caught versus the Cardinals to set up the game-winning field goal,
yeah,
slot guys aren't really accustomed to doing those, and you're not sending your slot receiver out there to go and do that. So when you look at that, like, he wins. He beat Jalen Ramsey on a post route in Pittsburgh and like ran away and got separation, something that a lot of people said he was going to struggle with. Like, that's where for me with JSN, you are now seeing a complete receiver. Now, the one thing, blocking, he's a willing blocker. He's not a great blocker, but you're not paying him really to block all that much. And don't even get me started on the phantom block call that they wanted to throw on him in Arizona there, where he basically got steamrolled and they somehow thought that was him holding when he ended up on his back. But yeah, no, I don't even know if wouldn't say this is a breakout for me. This is more of a statement by JSN to the rest of the NFL being like, hey, you guys need to remember that I was drafted as a first round receiver and I came out of Ohio State. And when I was there, I also had one of the greatest bowl game performances of all time with what he did in that Rose Bowl with Ohio State. So for me, I think now it's really going to be interesting to see over the next couple seasons where Torrey Horton goes. And has it now become JSN Torrey Horton at some point with Cooper Kupp? Because this is the one thing I'll say, and it kind of bugs me when I see on Twitter people comparing Sam and Cooper Kupp to Geno and DK and being like, oh, well, that was the trade-off. And I never was under the opinion Cooper Kupp was coming in to take DK's role. My opinion was JSN is taking DK's role as the number one, and Cooper's coming in to fill the Tyler Lockett role. And that's what he was brought in to be, the veteran receiver that can still give you a little bit more maybe than Tyler can at this point. But that's what Cooper Kupp was brought in to be. But so many people want to compare him to, what their stats are to DK and Geno so far. And I'm like, that's not what Cooper Kupp was brought here to be. He wasn't here to replace DK Metcalf. That was JSN's job from the beginning that they moved off DK. Cooper was here to replace Tyler. So what does Tyler and Cooper Kupp stats look like currently right now? Compare those, and then we'll have a conversation about it. And so, again, I love Tyler Lockett. I love what he did for Seattle, but that was the move. That was what John was doing and that offense was doing. And I think that's where some people misunderstood what that what those moves were about. It was never to replace DK. DK was going to be replaced by JSN, and you're seeing it. JSN, in my opinion, is a better receiver than DK Metcalf.
100%. DK ain't even, if I'm being honest, he ain't even top 15 in the league. Like, DK's a guy I wanted to succeed. He just didn't. He never worked out. He should really have been that alpha. I remember Stephen A. called him the young upcoming version of Megatron. That never panned out. He's just never had that knack. And you're absolutely right. The concerns about JSN only being in the slot. Oh, Cooper Kupp's a slot guy. What's going to happen? Well, he's literally can do anything. So we're fine from the receiver perspective. And yeah, Torrey Horton in his 2 healthy seasons in college, he had like 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. I think he'll pan out. My hot take is that he eventually will become our wide receiver 2. And yeah, Cooper's just doing what he needs to do, I feel. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing that'll be interesting to see going forward. So give me this, Sam. Give me a bold prediction for this offense over the next 4 games. So we'll talk Buccaneers, we're talking Jags, we're talking Texans, and we're talking Commanders.
Bold prediction, I think, well, the offense is going to have to win us the games, in my opinion, especially next week against the Bucs. They're going to put points on us. And even though I'm really confident in this defense, that Bucs team's hot. Even though they've lost Mike Evans, they're getting Chris Godwin back. Egbuka has been elite. I love that kid. I think the offense is going to have to be the key for us to win these games. Jaguars game, I don't want to be too confident because we get confident sometimes, like last year against the Giants. I think it's going to keep getting better. And Sam's looking poised. He's effective and efficient. I think the offense has 2 good opportunities against although the Texans do have that nasty D-line, I think the fact that we can get after Stroud, we're going to have the ball a lot. So I'm confident, at least in the Jags and Texans game, but we might fall to the Bucs, to be honest. So, yeah.
The Bucs game I'm super excited for because of the jersey combo that's going to be out on the field. That is going to be an epic jersey, kind of game to watch. And obviously I'm wearing the retro hat right now. I still have hope that next year they get rid of the home jersey. And I love the current jersey set for the homes and the aways, but I've seen some pretty interesting mock-ups of if they took the colors of the retro jerseys and meshed it with the new logo that the Seahawks have, the new Seahawk, the modern Seahawk logo, and kind of incorporated what they have currently with the retro style, they look pretty sweet. And I'm like, I'm ready to go back to this color scheme here. I love the neon green and the dark blue and everything, but I'm ready to go back to this set of colors. So
move on from the Pete Carroll era.
Yeah, kind of move on from that Pete Carroll era and go forward. But let's talk about the defense. Obviously, it's been a elite group so far this season. Let me get who would you say are the biggest defensive standouts for you so far this year? Because there's been quite a few, I think.
I'm always like a massive fan of Julian Love. I think although he missed the Saints game, I think he's just always putting in like 110%. He's like he is like the anchor of the defense. He's one of the leaders, the vets. And then the Byron breakout, finally moving off that nose tackle position, going into where he's really meant to be playing. The D-line has a lot of depth. And then in the secondary, you got guys stepping up, and we haven't even been able to see what Nick's going to do. I know Mike has a lot of plans for Nick, E-Man. So I think our secondary depth is quite good to see. It's rewarding, and when we're down guys, it's stayed up, and I'm really excited about that because I'm no longer have to be concerned.
Yeah, for me, so far the standouts, I think Byron Murphy, Big Cat is. I wouldn't even say he's really a standout because it's just how Big Cat is. He, in my opinion, right now he should be leading the discussion for defensive MVP in the NFL, and the fact that he's not talked about enough nationally is just an absolute travesty. Like the guy after last season, like he's basically doing the same thing again from the start of this season, and now Byron's starting to play well, so he's getting a little bit more of the single teams than because they're trying to stop Byron Murphy from creating havoc. The other thing I'll say is Boye Mafe and Derek Hall, even though they haven't gotten a sack yet, both of them have been extremely disruptive off the edges. And now you add Chenna to that, who Chenna in this Cardinals game looked like Chenna we had 2-3 years ago before the injuries started to occur. Like he was all around the ball. It was amazing to see. And then I'd say in the secondary, I think Julian Love's playing at an all-pro level right now as a free safety. Like he's all around the ball. And yes, I know like we didn't see a huge drop-off in that Saints game, but I also think that's just how terrible the Saints are. And you saw his immediate impact in the Cardinals game coming back in. So those would kind of be the guys. Like I could say Ernest Jones too, but he's playing at the same level that we thought when we had him last year. Yeah. I'm going to be interested to see how Devin Witherspoon plays against the Bucs this weekend, because the one thing I'll say is I think that not the first touchdown Marvin Harrison Jr. caught on him. I think that's just a really good thrown ball and a big receiver going over top of a smaller DB. That's going to happen. It happens to all of them at the NFL. The one where he got caught chasing the running back into the flat, and that was the Cardinals' second touchdown. That's a healthy Devin Witherspoon makes that play. Devin Witherspoon coming off the injury is a step behind. Yeah,
and I'll cut him some slack, the fact that it was his first game back. You're going to getting mossed by Marv Harrison. He's way taller, as you just mentioned. He made a play. But yeah, definitely eyes were open, and I was like, what are you doing, Spoon? But I'm going to cut him some slack, and hopefully he turns up big this week.
I think giving the mini bye, I think the best thing about this mini bye is you get Eamon Worry back. You get a lot of these guys healthy, and I think, even to point out with the defense, I think what you'll do is you'll see with Eamon Worry back, you'll see more disguising stuff coming against, the Bucs and stuff. But who is your defensive MVP, Sam, through 4 games?
It's got to be Big Cat. I think it has to be Big Cat. And as you mentioned, he was robbed of All-Pro last year, and I think it's a byproduct of being up in the Pacific Northwest. But Only made the Pro Bowl after an injury replacement. He's just so disruptive, and even if he doesn't get in the stat sheet at the end of the day, he's the reason the defensive line is so dominant, and it allows other guys like Byron to get plays. And as you were mentioning, along the edge, those guys aren't getting in the stat sheet either. But I think they just work as a unit so well, and he's the anchor of that.
Yeah, so for me, it's the same thing. I would go, but I'll say someone different. My number 2 on this is Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones is the other one outside of Big Cat. I think Big Cat is kind of leading that conversation, but I would say Ernest Jones. Like if we lose Ernest Jones, that defense falls apart. We saw it last year without Ernest Jones to start the season. Tyrell Dodson and Jerome Baker cannot be linebackers, and there's something going on with Tyrese Knight because Drake Thomas outsnapped him quite a bit in this Cardinals game. So I don't know if he's still struggling coming back from whatever took him out of training camp after the knee injury, but there's some concern for me there. Like I'm starting to wonder if next year in this draft, if the 2 biggest needs are not right guard and another inside linebacker to play with Ernest Jones. Because yes, I know you got Surratt and you got, Chris Paul Jr. or Pooh Paul, but the fact that Surratt's a special teams guy mainly, Paul Jr., I've said, like, if he starts to get it together, maybe he can make a push for Knight's job, but he hasn't yet so far on the practice squad. So I think there's a chance that those might be 2 of the biggest needs for Seattle next year in the draft. So who would you say, though, Sam? We talked about defensive MVP. We talked about the guys that have stood out. Who would you say so far has been your most underrated defensive player so far this season?
Underrated. You could point out Darion Kendrick stepping up as well with the depth we've needed in the secondary. And then Boye Mafe. He's not really getting the end stat. He's not filling up the stat sheet, but the fact he's just so effective and on the edge. I'd probably give credit to those 2 guys.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with someone that I don't know if he's underrated, but I would say he's kind of gets forgotten sometimes when we talk about this secondary a little bit. We talk about Spoon a lot. We talk about the good and the bad of Riq. We've talked a lot about Josh Jobe this year, Julian Love, and that's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant's my guy. I've loved Kobe since they drafted him, and I said he was always better off as a safety at the NFL level. And, you saw, again, Kyler somehow has a magnet. Like, Kobe's got a magnet with Kyler Murray when it comes to throwing the ball. He always ends up with an interception versus Kyler, it seems. And, in the Saints game, Kobe was flying around. Like, he was all over the field in that Saints game. I think Kobe Bryant is someone that, they're going to get a contract extension worked out here for, because I think they look at it and go, he's just such an integral part with him and Julian back there, and it allows them to use Nickem and Worry in ways that, Mike Macdonald wants to without giving him too much responsibility. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do going forward, but let's take a look at, let's grab a couple of these comments so far. We've been talking quite a bit here between the, 2 of us here, Sam. So let's grab a couple of the 12's comments that are in the chat here. And we got the first one is from Chase, and he was at the game on Thursday. It was great. Felt like a home game at times. Well, that's good to hear that 12s are still traveling well down to Arizona, and we're making our presence known out there, Chase. That's awesome.
Yeah, you like to hear that. Considering that there's, I always see, obviously I'm down in Australia, but I see how Lumen gets taken over. That breaks my heart. And I was there in 23, and there was a lot of red Thanksgiving against the Niners, man. So
here's the thing. It's really funny. So I think the home game this year got blown out of proportion. Yeah. Because the worst part is where the cameras are situated at when they watch the game from, when you're watching the game, is that one particular lower area is a lot of, I would say, tickets that are sold out by companies and by big corporations and stuff. So they're much easier and obtainable for, visiting fans to get their hands on. Yeah. If you look around the rest of the stadium, and I know this because I've talked to a few people that were at the game. One of them is actually in our chat, Amy Holmes. And she said it was blue and green everywhere else in that stadium, except the one area the TV sees. And so a lot of people talk off what they saw on TV. Oh, yeah, there's so much red there. Well, you're looking at the one area that's kind of red. It's like no different when you're at a college game and there's the one visitor section that's always the other team's colors. Kind of the same thing at this point. But then when you look at the Saints game, it was rocking for the Saints game. And it's really easy to come up from San Francisco to Seattle if you're going to make that trip. It's,
Yeah.
So we'll see what it's like for this Bucks game and how many creamsicle jerseys we see in the stands. I don't know how many will be traveling up from Florida, but it's great, Chase, that they were, rocking over there in Arizona. So Paulie comes in with, I really feel like Eamon Warrior's gonna set it off. I feel like Thomas got the reps this week that he would. Yeah, that's a fair thing. Yeah, they may put Eamon Warrior in the spots. Drake Thomas came in sub package, or I'll do you one better, Paulie. Does Eamon Warrior take Knight's third down rolls? Because Thomas was in there on first and second down a lot. Knight came in on it, seemed more of the third down stuff. I wonder if that's where we see Eamon Warrior snaps come. Maybe it comes at the expense of Tyrese Knight until he gets sorted, whatever he's got to get sorted.
Yeah, and he is a Swiss Army knife. That kid can play. So I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if I see more, like Nick utilization there. And you make a good point. We have some really underrated depth in the safety position with Kobe, and I think Julian Love's a top 10 at least, top 8 guy at his position, pushing 5. So, yeah.
Agreed. And then you got also Ty Okada and DeAnthony Bell. Like, you've got some good depth at that position. So
they can hold their own.
John McGrath is in here. Always good to see you in here, John. Why don't they use the tush push when they have a yard or less to go? They used it in the preseason and it worked well. Well, they got the barnyard, I believe is what, Amy told me it's called, for when Barner goes in and does the tush push. And I think Macdonald said when it came in this game, he was given the wrong information about how far it was from being a first down. I think, to be honest, this week, I think you're going to see them come up, John. They got the mini buy. They're going to find a true short yardage package way that they want to do things going forward to get that 1 yard and make sure it's more of a success than not, and rather than leaving it up to chance. Let's go here with Josh. Do we think John makes an O-line move before the trade deadline? Ooh, I think that's very much going to be dependent on if Anthony Bradford's play gets worse than what we saw in Arizona. And if that occurs, I think the first thing they'll do is, as scary as this sounds to a lot of 12s, they will probably give Christian Haynes a crack at it and see if, and I know it, Sam, your response is probably what everyone in the chat is thinking right now too. But I think they will do that. They will give Christian Haynes a shot, as scary as that is. And I'm not in favor of it, but I think that's what they do. And if that fails, then I think yes, Josh, there could be a chance that they look at potentially. But the thing is who's willing to get rid of good offensive linemen? That's the other problem with this whole scenario is there isn't a plethora of good offensive linemen out there. They're just sitting there warming a bench. If they're good, they're generally playing. Yeah. So how are you going to go and pull those guys away from that team? So it'll be an interesting topic to see, considering what this next 4-game stretch looks like. To see, or I should say 3-game stretch, because I believe our bye week is the trade deadline, I think, or I could be wrong. It might be the week after, but it's coming up close. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
You make a great point. Like, this is why it's so important to invest in the draft. And Zabel, it's looking like a fan favorite right now. And I'm so thankful. And I never thought we'd see at least 3 cornerstones on our offensive line as a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, that's why, as much as it's, let's go get things in free agency, like Will Fries isn't exactly lighting up the world in Minnesota right now. So I'd rather be flying an X-Wing. Always good to see you in the chat, my friend. Darnold can win us a Super Bowl in the same way Hurts won one for the Eagles. Not a Mahomes level QB, but lots of talent all over the roster. And, I always kind of have this as an interesting topic of conversation with people when they talk about Super Bowl winning quarterbacks and guys that were elite. And, you look at what Mahomes has been able to do. He is really good. But when you look at the majority of Super Bowl winners, if you take Brady out of that conversation and Montana, a lot of the time, the guys that win the Super Bowls are guys that are on teams that are exceptional. And I don't think anyone looks like Terry Bradshaw was a really good quarterback, but I don't think anyone looks at Terry Bradshaw as one of the top 5 QBs of all time. He's looked upon as, yes, he was a Hall of Famer. He won 4 Super Bowls, but those Steelers teams in the 70s were absolutely unreal. And then you look at, other guys like Troy Aikman and those Dallas Cowboys teams. Troy was a very good quarterback, but he had Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith and that amazing offensive line and that defense, like the team around him. You don't need your quarterback to necessarily be a number 1 or number 2 overall in the league guy to win a Super Bowl. We saw Joe Flacco carry the Ravens because he got hot and their defense played well and they got to a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts has done the same thing with the Eagles. Like, if you invest in the rest of the team, you have more cracks at that opportunity than if you have one superstar quarterback and the rest of the team's just kind of mid around it. And you're seeing that with the Chiefs and why they're able, like, while they're struggling in some respects. And I think now you're seeing truly the downturn of the Chiefs, even though they did win, I think, their last game. But I just think you're seeing more and more with that team falling apart because, yeah, they got Mahomes and it's great, but all the other pieces are getting older and they haven't replenished them correctly. And you're trying to ride the coattails of Mahomes and Andy Reid, and now you're starting to see the bad effects of that.
And we're seeing like franchise guys, like, it's really sad, but Joe Burrow, like, they're not investing in that line. And when you pay 75% of your cap to 4 players, it's not going to result well. And you can have like top wide receivers in the league. But I think it's the O-line matters more. You could have just random guys you're throwing to, and I think it would be a better situation.
So here we go. Dogzilla came in here. Always good to see you in here, Dogs. Despite all of the talk for months about coaching would fix the O-line, we have not really seen it yet for the run game. I would say we've seen the effects of this coaching to an extent. You know, the run game it may not be, and again, I said this earlier, I think, it may not be consistent enough to where we want it to be, but it's still effective enough for us to be able to run play action off of it. We're able to do certain things we weren't able to do in the past with this offensive line. The pass protection in general has gotten better, which is, I think, a big thing that we as Seahawks fans wanted to see. Like, can we actually protect our quarterback, keep them upright? Now, what I'll say, though, to your point there, Dog, is that, yes, I think we'll see some more of this run game get better going forward, but they've got to figure out, to an extent, of what they do well in the run game. They're running a lot of stuff, but, like, do toss plays really work in this system? And with these guys, not so far. So maybe toss gets scrapped, and maybe another way to get outside is adding more jet sweeps, which we haven't seen a lot of in this offense so far this year, which is a staple in the Shanahan and, you know, McVay style and Kubiak style of offense is the jet sweep. We haven't really seen that yet. Does that become the thing Tory Horton does? You know, and then do you start running some more counter and split zone stuff rather than trying to always get wide zone? Like, I think maybe that's what they're going to be doing over this weekend here is, okay, what are we good at in the run game that we seem to be most consistently good at? And now let's steer into that and go that direction and get rid of some of these dead plays that are killing us. I think part of it too is a conversation with the running backs, especially K9. Like, stop trying to hit the home run. Stop trying to always find that big play. Just take what's there initially and get your head in there and get 3 or 4 yards. Because and to your point, I think, Dog, you put in here another comment about what were the rushing stats for Thursday night. There were 35 carries, 155 yards, and 4.4 yards per carry. You know, I think you got to take a little bit of that out because one of that was Sam Darnold's big run. But Ken Walker, I think, had 15 carries for 81 yards and averaged 4.3 yards a carry. But he probably could have had 100 yards if he hadn't lost so many yards spinning around and going backwards on 4 or 5 of those attempts. So, you know, there's definitely, you know, and Charbonnet getting back to fully healthy, I think will help that out as well in going forward. All right. So we answered a few of those. Now let's get into an NFC West check-in here, Sam. So how do you feel Seattle now? They've played 2 teams in this division. How do you think Seattle stacks up against the rest of the NFC West now?
Well,
after the first month.
Look, I don't like to prey on the downfall of the Niners, although we all technically do. They're not looking too good in terms of health. And I think we have an opportunity to potentially separate ourselves from the rest of the pack. But then again, it is close. We like to get a division win, which we did against the Cards. And although I think we should have blown them out, we were up big halftime. It's a divisional game. Things happen. We got comfortable. I think we're in a good position. We just got to take advantage of the opportunities. And I think our defense is giving us lots of opportunities. And as soon as week 1, they picked off Purdy twice and we didn't win the game. So I like where we stand. We've just got to really execute going forward.
Yeah, honestly, the 49ers for me, I think they're going to be held together with duct tape throughout the entire season. And, you know, it's kind of trying to hold up a sinking ship. Like, I really think the 49ers are closer to a full, in some respects, reset or rebuild than they are to being a true contender. And I still don't understand the whole thing in the offseason about them being the favorites. Like, you know, I get they've got good talent when Bosa's healthy, when Kittle's healthy, when Purdy's healthy, but look what's happened already. Purdy's already missed a game or 2. Kittle's missed multiple games since week 1. Bosa's out for the year now. Like Fred Warner's the only one that seems to have any stability in there. And Christian McCaffrey's been healthy the majority of the year, but he can't do it all on his own. So the Rams to me are still the team we have to focus on the most in this division.
Yeah.
And again, they're one hit away from Matthew Stafford being pushed around in a wheelchair on the sideline from falling apart themselves. But until that happens, the Rams are going to give us the most problem. Puka Nacua is a really good receiver. Devontae Adams, McVay is an amazing play caller. That defense is young and hungry. But there's things on that defense to take advantage of. And I think one thing we've seen with Kubiak so far is he's able to pick on teams' weak spots a bit. Like, for example, the Arizona Cardinals corners and defensive secondary. He took advantage of that with Sam Darnold and JSN in that receiving core. So I think it's wide open for them to get up and take control of this division, but it depends how these next 3 weeks go. I've said from the beginning, they need to be 6-1 or 5-2 for me to start really feeling comfortable about this team going into that bye week.
Yeah.
That is going to set them up for the most success down the backstretch.
I would almost say the Jaguars and Texans games are must-wins. And I know the Texans have a legit defense, but we have an even more legit defense, in my opinion, and we can disrupt their O-line because that is non-existent. The Jaguars aren't exactly looking the best. It's frustrating a lot of people there with their offense. The Bucks game I'm worried about, but we definitely do have an opportunity. And, yeah, I think the Niners window is closed. They've got names on their roster, but they just can't stay healthy, and they can't rely on CMC to bring them to the promised land.
All right, so let's take a look at this. Key games this weekend for our fellow Seahawk 12s to basically watch and kind of who to root for. So there's 4 main games I think everyone should probably pay attention to this weekend. I'll kind of list them out here, but game 1 is obviously 49ers Jags. That's the first game I would say that everyone needs to, pay attention to. We want to see, one, we're going to be playing the Jags in, a couple weeks here, but we want to see, what does Brock Purdy look like, or Mac Jones? What do they look like Bosa-less? Like, how does this defense operate? We'll see them again at some point this year, but we obviously want the Jags to win that game.
Yeah, and Purdy, I think, is playing this week, so that'll be definitely good to see.
The next game I would say to pay attention to for everyone is actually going to be the Bucks and Eagles game. That one, as much as, I think some people look at it and go, hey, they're not really divisional, but we play the Bucks week 5. So how do they come out of that game? Who are some of their key guys that they're going to and such? We want the Eagles obviously to win, sets up the Bucks on, a bit of a sour note, coming up here. It's going to be a bit of a long trip for them if they decide to go back down to Florida and then fly out to Seattle from the East Coast there. It's going to be, a bit of a trek on them, but how does Baker handle playing behind that makeshift offensive line is, those are some key things. Both teams are 3-0, but I've said from the beginning, those 2 teams to me going into the season were the top 2 teams in the NFC. And we'll see who's better at this point. I think the Bucks are a bit of a disadvantage right now with their injuries, but what do you think of this game, Sam?
Yeah, I think it's going to make the Eagles throw the ball. We're going to see some air attack from the Eagles, and that's been a concern from them. Their offense looks quite one-dimensional, but they can afford to do it. They can just run up the gut. That's what they do. But last week they had to air it out more, and they got the dub against the Rams. So I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think it'll be a shootout.
Yeah, no, I think it could be a real shootout. And again, how do the Bucks stop Saquon Barkley? And, can they actually truly create a situation where Jalen Hurts has to beat them through the air? That'll be the interesting thing to kind of see how that goes. Next game on the docket, another divisional one, Rams versus Colts. Again, 2 teams that are, playing pretty good football right now. Can Danny Dimes keep it going there for Indianapolis? I don't think anyone had that on their bingo card this year, was Danny Dimes being one of the best NFL quarterbacks statistically through the first bit of the season. But again, if the Colts can help us and the Jags can help us, there's a chance that after this weekend, Seattle could be tied for first in the NFC West going into week 5 versus the Buccaneers.
Yeah, we're looking good, and this is where we just need to take advantage.
Exactly.
Losing stupid games, we need to win.
Exactly. And then the final game, everyone I'd say to check out is Packers Cowboys. And I know this is kind of a weird one, but we want to see what this Green Bay team looks like. Dallas is, an afterthought. We want Dallas to win this because it'll help for any NFC wildcard kind of situations, depending where the Seahawks are at the end of that season. But those would be the 4 games I'd say for this weekend for everyone to kind of pay attention to, have an eye out for, see what the teams do. But that's kind of where I view it. Are there any other games you're going to be checking out this weekend, Sam?
Oh, I'll be looking at all of them for fantasy football perspective. So I'll try and catch the end part of Red Zone in the morning before work and the Australia time. But I'll be paying attention to all of it, to be honest. So.
All right. And so, Sam, one thing we do here on the Hawk side with our guests is we do the 2-minute drill. And so what happens in the 2-minute drill is I will ask you a set of questions. And basically with that set of questions, you kind of just give your quick rapid fire answers. 12s, if you want to, you guys can join in as long, put your comments and answers in the chat there as well. But we'll get into the 2-minute drill right now.
Go!
All right. Question 1 for you, Sam. Biggest surprise Seahawks so far in 2025?
Biggest surprise Seahawk? Oh, geez. It's not quick, is it? Maybe Torrey Horton having a big of a role as he's had so far.
Okay. Question 2, early season Seahawks MVP.
Oh, it's Jaxon.
Okay. So question 3, rookie impact pick. Who's had the biggest impact of the rookie class?
Zabel.
Number 1 improvement needed for the Seahawks.
Still the offensive line. It can still get better.
Okay. Who is the most likely Pro Bowler this year?
Jaxon. Big cat.
Most underrated Seahawk.
Most underrated Seahawk. Let's go with Blair Murphy.
Okay. Who is the biggest NFC playoff threat if the Seahawks were to make the playoffs? What team do you worry the most about them playing?
Although we own them in the past few years, I'd say the Eagles.
Okay. One former Seahawk you'd love to have back on this team.
Oh. Damn. Damn, that's a hard one. I just want Doug Baldwin back, to be honest.
Okay, Doug Baldwin it is. Okay, what do you think the Seahawks record will be at the bye?
5-2. Is it week 7? I think we'll be 5-2.
Yeah, it'll be either 5-2, whatever it is. They'll have. I think the bye is week 8. So, and best. Who do you think has the? This is an interesting one because you are a content creator for TikTok. Who do you think has the best viral personality on the Seahawks roster? Who do you think would make the best TikTok content?
Oh, Spoon's kind of funny the way he goes, oh, for the 12s, Spoon would be funny. Remember the toy, the action thing he did with the what was it, the
schedule release?
Yes. Spoon kills me. I'd say Spoon probably. Yeah.
All right, and that finishes the 2-minute drill, guys. So that was something for first time for you, Sam, to do. So let's do this kind of fun thing, Sam. It's kind of something I want to engage the 12s in as well in our chat. It's called this all things Seahawks. So what I'm going to get is kind of an idea for you. Who would be on your Seahawks Mount Rushmore? So give me your top picks for your Seahawks Mount Rushmore. I'll give you mine after that.
Are these my favorite guys or just the actual undisputed probably all-time Seahawks?
I think your Mount Rushmore has nothing to do with who you think everyone else would put on. Who would be on your Seahawks Mount Rushmore?
Russ got me into the Seahawks, so we're putting Russ there. Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner. Damn. Beast mode. That's just my that's outside of
you got 4. Who do you have as your 4? Who are the 4, sorry?
Beast mode, Russ,
Wags,
Sherm.
Okay. So mine would be, I'd have to put Walter Jones, Steve Largent. Oh, this is where it gets tricky. I'd have to put Kenny Easley on there. He's another one for me that on my Seahawks Mount Rushmore. And then I'd probably have to put Beast Mode as my other one. Those would be my guys on the Mount Rushmore there.
And with the Walter Jones pick, that's probably who I should have picked. Who back on the team. But I just would love to see Doug Bobbin play again. But it probably would be Walter Jones.
Oh, gotta love Dogzilla here. My Rushmore, Anthony Bradford. Oh, dogs, you're good, man. We got Sean in here, comes in with his Largent, Kennedy, Easley, Chancellor. Ooh, Chancellor's another one. Yeah, John, Largent, Chancellor, Tez. Cortez could have made it on mine too. It was him or Beast Mode for me on that one. So that's some good ones right there. Okay, so next kind of fun question here for you, Sam. Which current Seahawk has the best chance to be an All-Pro this year?
Oh, it's Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Easy.
He's like, for me, I'm going to say it's Big Cat.
Well, I agree with you. However, he should have made it last year.
Oh, I agree. And I think
he was a top 6, top 4 guy at his position, and he got robbed, and he didn't make the Pro Bowl till an injury replacement. Like, I'm expecting him to be slept on again. That's just my only issue.
Ooh, here's an interesting one. I like. Oh, not this one. Sorry. This is the one I liked. Darnold. John McGrath puts Darnold. Amy agrees with me with Leo. So does Paul. So does Sean. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be JSN, or I'd love to see Darnold, but I think it's going to be JSN or Leo. But I think it should be Leo after they screwed him out of it last year.
I was a quarterback. Like Russ only made it once. It was that year he came second to Lamar. So although I think Sam could be a Pro Bowler, like first vote.
Oh, I think he could be a Pro Bowler again.
If you're an injury replacement, it's like, but I think he could make it first vote.
If Sam keeps playing the way he is, he could make second team All-Pro.
Well, that would mean he's basically second in MVP voting, or like in the race. Like, can we imagine? We're living in 2025, and Sam Darnold is an MVP candidate. I mean, technically was for a lot of last year.
Yep, he definitely was. Like, for me right now, the guy leading the MVP voting, in my personal opinion, is probably Baker Mayfield. He is playing absolutely unreal right now with not a lot around him. Paulie comes in with another good one for the All-Pro. I think Love will finish as an All-Pro.
Yeah,
I agree. I think Love will get there this year.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. And this one's going to be interesting because I can see it in the back of on your door there is the new rival jersey.
Oh,
but this is a little bit off of it. Should the Seahawks considering making the throwbacks their full-time uniforms?
I remember you brought it up earlier, and it was actually a big topic like last year. And I thought like people were saying that we were going to get them. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm on the fence because I like having throwback editions. And I know we were going to get the away, like the white one. I thought that was a rumor and it didn't come true. I was getting ready for money to leave my bank account. But I'm torn, man, because I like having the special throwback edition, but I'm with you. I think it's time we move on from, this Pete Carroll era, and you modernize it. But then that would completely, I feel, delete the throwbacks. Like, we wouldn't have a throwback. So then, what happens there? Do we make the 2000 jerseys throwbacks? Like, I just think that ruined.
Oh, those were so bad. That Mike Holmgren era jersey, yeah.
Yeah, I think people look back on them now and appreciate them. Like we saw Mitchell and Ness have retroed Cam and Richard Sherman's rookie jersey.
Yeah, and I think their rookie years was the last year we had them, or second to last year that we had them.
Yeah, so I'd actually say no. I'd actually rather keep what we've got so we can still have throwback jerseys, because then I think it's cool having the extra rotation. So I'd lean no, which might be surprising.
I'm going to be interested to see what they do, because I think there's something that'll eventually come this year or this offseason, just because they've kind of kept jerseys for about 10 years. Like, if you think Holmgren and them came in 2022 with those, or 2002, where the Holmgren era started, when they went to, at that time, which was called Seahawks Stadium, was initially what Lumen Field was called, was Seahawks Stadium. And then they moved out of them a decade in 2012. They moved on to the other jersey that you're currently sporting right there on you. So I think maybe it's time that they potentially switch out of those, but it'll be interesting to see. So here's another fun one for you, and I'll leave this one out to the everyone in the chat as well. Which position group or side of the ball we'll put it this way: between special teams and offense, who's going to score on the first trick play this season?
I'm going to say special teams.
I've got a feeling it's going to be offense. I have a weird feeling they're going to pull a flea flicker here at some point, or they're going to pull a reverse pass with Torrey Horton throwing it to JSN.
Oh, that would turn into so many Seahawks edits. That'd be sensational to see. But the special teams definitely turning it up, like what Jay's doing. So
yeah, no, he's doing pretty well. So here's one from X-Wing. He goes, he's talking with Amy in the chat. I want a mix of the current and throwbacks. Honestly, as long as we don't bring back the lime green highlighter look, I'm okay. I was never really a fan of the action green jerseys.
I've got a couple of them, and unfortunately, one of them's DK. I've got a Russ Wilson one. It reminds me of that like prime post LOB Russ MVP caliber era. And they're a lot, but I appreciate them. Like, I guess for maybe nostalgia.
So I'll put it this way. I'll be more specific. I never liked it where it was action green and action green pants. I liked it when they went action green jersey with the blue pants, where it kind of offset it because it was just too much on the TV screen. It was like, what? And then when they went with the neon green end zones, it was like, okay, holy guys, like just paint the field blue then, something to throw some contrast in here. Like seriously,
make a point.
That was for me. Like when they rocked them a couple of times. I know they rocked it in 2020 in the COVID season. They had it versus the Vikings. Where they came out in the action green top and the neon or the blue bottoms, the navy bottoms. But that was also Damian Lewis's one game at center where he looked like he could have been a really good center for the Seahawks. But
damn, missed that guy. No, not really. But
yeah,
we drafted him. I was like, oh, he might be the next guy. But yeah.
All right. So what we'll do now, Sam, is we're going to jump back into these questions that I've kind of jumped on earlier in the chat because we got about 760 people watching the show right now, which is awesome. So if you guys are over on Twitter, if you're in the YouTube chat, throw your comments in on the Twitter feed. They'll populate over here on the YouTube chat. So if you're watching on Twitter, love to interact with you guys. Everyone in YouTube, appreciate you guys for following through on the channel. So John comes in, he goes, why don't they use more 2 tight end sets to dominate when defenses take away our receivers? Well, I think we kind of saw that a little bit, John, in the Cardinals game with Arroyo and Barner. As what I said on the syndicate, you need to get those guys more involved in the offense, and we started to see that in the first half. I think it's definitely, though, something they need to incorporate more frequently in the offense. John comes back in. Can't wait to see the shootout between Baker and Sam. That next Sunday's game's gonna, I think it has the potential to be a game of the year type thing for the NFL.
You got the
jersey combo, the quarterbacks that are playing and how well they're playing, these two teams. As long as it doesn't pour rain in Seattle, it's a nice sunny day in Seattle for that Sunday game. It'll be some pretty interesting football to be had.
I think we're definitely going to get scored on. It's going to be an offensive game for sure. So could be a heartbreaker. We don't know.
So let's see here. I'm just going through these. Oh, here we go. CK Seahawk. I think O-line needs more time. Coaching needs more time for this young group. I believe they'll get better. I truly hope so. I think there's 3 parts of this offensive line that are getting better. I just want to see Sundell continue to grow, and I think, he's getting better each game, but I think his injury that he even had with the elbow kind of hampered them. Like, I think this was a really tough game for this team against Arizona. It's divisional. It's on a short week. They were banged up. Let's see what happens with the Bucs if they can get some of this run game momentum going in the right direction off of this mini bye. What do we got here? Flight 266 comes in with Schlereth Broncos ran the ball 35 times plus for the last 4 games to win the Super Bowl. There are many benefits to just pounding the rock. Don't stop. Be violent. Totally agree. I love the fact that their run carries are up in the 35, the 30 margin compared to where they were last year, which is great. And we're seeing that Sam's being able to take advantage of that in the passing game on play action because teams are afraid of them running the ball. So they're bringing that extra safety down to the box. We're not seeing nearly as many too high defensive shell looks this year, which last year we saw a ton of because we couldn't run the ball to save our lives last year. But I think even though we're not maybe as consistently effective with it, but we're still getting chunk plays out of it, and there's ones here and there that hit, you're starting to see the effect of that to very much what Schlereth had with the Broncos back in the 90s with Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak.
You'll see that first drive against the Steelers. That was beautiful. Like, just the run game was effective, and then the literal score was set up in play action. Like, it was just gorgeous. So I want to see more of that.
Amy comes in with, I think people will be surprised by Mike Macdonald's reaction to Riq, honestly. I think what Amy's talking about here is I don't think Mike's ready to give up on Riq yet, even though all of us kind of are getting to that point. I think he potentially sees a player that's either pressing too much or just maybe, I don't know. I think for Riq, my biggest thing is I think, they talked about it a bit with Marvin Harrison. I said it on my post-game show with Mookie Alexander. He looks like the minute he does something wrong, he overanalyzes everything and stops playing fast. And it's downhill there in that game for him. And he's got to find a way to get through that and continue to push forward.
Yeah, he looks defeated.
He does.
Yeah.
Amy comes in with Lumen was fine. So talking about that 49ers game.
Well, I hope the next time I'm back there, it's not as bad. Hopefully come back next year, and hopefully it's full of green.
Islam comes in with Seahawks are 11-1-1 since 2013 in Arizona, Lumen Field West. Yeah, basically that is our home away from home now. So that's always a good one. What else do we got in here? Oh, trick play comments. Would love to see a Royal throw a TD on a trick play he threw into Cam Ward in college last year. Paulie's got a good idea for the Bucs Seahawks games. Flex it to prime time. Let the M's play during the day.
Would be a mad primetime game.
It would be a good one. It's going to be interesting because I think Adam Schefter just posted this on Twitter that there's some conflicts with the M's playoff run and Seahawk kickoff times. So there's going to be potentially some game kickoffs being moved by the Seahawks to accommodate the Mariners playoff run, I believe is what they've been talking about. So
yeah. I
think this is Flamma. I haven't seen you in here before, but appreciate you coming in. We need to see tape on Riq. His cover was good watching all 22. I know me and Dan Viens are probably going to do a Hawks film lab. As you guys all know, we do our all 22 Hawks film lab breakdowns, and we'll be doing one pretty soon, I think, on the secondary and on Riq and on Spoon, Job as well, and how this group's working. So keep your eyes out for that one. And Amy brings up a point. Yes, unfortunately, the mistakes are so visible while the rest isn't. Yeah, and that's the thing. His mistakes this year have come at such inopportune moments for the Seahawks and such big moments for them.
Yeah.
And it seemed at a point in that Cardinals game, at least from me watching and seeing the All-22, that they got to a point where they started to actually just go after Riq and after Spoon when they realized Spoon wasn't fully healthy yet. And hopefully this, there's some, these mini buys are important in the season because you only get the one true bye week. This is an opportunity, I think, and Mike kind of spoke to it post-game on a 7:10 show the following morning, that they're going to use this as an opportunity to figure out, okay, how do we close some of these issues that we've got on right now going on, and how do we get better? So, Ian's in here, one of our moderators for the chat, along with Amy Holmes. I say keep the jerseys we have and the throwbacks, get rid of Action Green for a blackout jersey or a white jersey with either white or black helmets. I'd be down for a black jersey with, what Bobby Wagner always used to talk about, the black jersey with the neon shoulders to it. I'd be down for a blackout jersey. I think that was pretty cool. I honestly thought when we were talking the Rivals jersey, that's what they were going to get, was going to be a blackout jersey.
A lot of fans wanted that. I was not expecting to go back to the gray. And the concept, were you guys surprised with the concept of the jersey being about the 12s? We saw it looks like an Oregon jersey, right? And it's got I thought there was feathers straight away. And no, it's sound waves. It's the 12s. I was like, oh, interesting concept, but I don't know if fans are fully reacting in a positive way.
My biggest issue with the jersey, even though I have one behind me in the case, which is a wolf gray, and that's the reason it's in the case and not wearing it. I would have rather seen that jersey, exactly the style that it is, but if they had done it like on a navy or like a metallic blue or something like that, rather than the wolf gray, because the thing with the wolf gray, I feel like, is just it's kind of a bland looking color. Where if you'd gone with like a metally, shiny blue kind of look, and then the green on top, it would have kind of popped a little bit more. I think that's just my opinion. Some people may think that I'm wrong, but I would like to see them come with a blackout or like a whiteout style jersey, like we saw Minnesota and Buffalo has. Like that would be kind of cool.
I also found it strange how I know the Cardinals jersey is probably too similar of a shade, but we didn't play in the rival jerseys. I just think I know we're is it week 16 we play the Rams in them. But if we're only wearing once a year, it just feels like a waste of an opportunity. Like I think if you're playing the Cardinals division game, prime time, both rock make the jerseys at least not the similar so you can play in them. Like I don't know, that's just me, but
it'll be interesting. Seth comes in with Cardinals are a sneaky good team, to be honest. The only thing with me and the Cardinals and my opinion of them is they are one of the most consistently inconsistent franchises in the NFL. Like they struggle. It's just the way I can describe them. They struggle to be consistently good. They'll have these moments where they put a good team together. You think of the Bruce Arian era. They had those couple years with Carson Palmer and that, and then they fall off. And then they get Josh Rosen, and then they go Kyler Murray. And it always just seems like a roller coaster with the Cardinals. Like they can beat you any given week, but then they can also look absolutely horrid the next. And that's the one thing for them that's just this up and down. And I think Gannon's a good coach. I don't know if Kyler's the answer at quarterback, though. Like, that's where I'm starting to think, like, maybe they have to reevaluate. Is Kyler Murray the quarterback for them to kind of get them to stop, pushing? Like, they start out great generally, and then they plateau for the second half of the season. And then by the fourth part, like the last quarter of the season, they're just nowhere near the fight anymore for the division.
I remember Kyler had that year. I don't know what year it was, but he was looking like an MVP candidate for the first half. And yeah, the same thing, just falling off. Like that team is like he's just mid. It's just a mid franchise, I guess.
All right. Well, we've been at this for just over an hour here, and we appreciate everybody that's been in the chat and on Twitter watching. This has been great. It's been great to have you on, Sam, for the first time on the Hawks Eye, coming in all the way from Australia, which has been awesome. So appreciate your time, man, that you've spent on the show here. So why don't you tell all my listeners and viewers where they can find more of your content and what you've got kind of coming up and what you're working on for the future with your stuff?
Cool. So, I mean, the main reason I started this whole hobby was Seattle's one of the new marketing teams for Australia. There's 4 teams. It started off with the Eagles and the Rams. I think the Rams are one of the Aussie favourites, but there's a confirmed game next year in Australia at the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and it's the Rams versus we don't know yet. Considering we're a division rival, I don't know if they'll bring down a division game, but I just see an opportunity to just, grow the game down here. And so I'm posting game recaps, my hot takes, anything from edits to news, and I'm just trying to grow the community. So I've got a handle on IG and TikTok, Seahawks_Sam. I've also got Twitter. I'm going to start posting from your advice there. It's Seahawks_SamAU. So someone already has that user on Twitter, which is a little annoying. But yeah, so I'm just trying to follow through with this hobby and give back to the 12s. So yeah.
Sounds good, and appreciate your time being on here, Sam. So guys, if you haven't already, head on over. If you have TikTok, Instagram, follow Sam over there, give him some support. And if you guys haven't over here already, make sure like, subscribe, click that notification button. Check out the stuff on Spotify. If you haven't already gone over to the Spotify and followed the show over there, if you could, leave a rating over there. It helps me on the algorithm over there on Spotify for the audio versions of the show. Guys, the rest of this week, got a couple cool guests. Got Dana O'Gorman coming back on the show, which will be awesome to talk to Dana, talk defense, all those different things with her. I have Griffin Sturgeon coming on to do a defensive breakdown. So for all of you guys that want us to really dive in to see what Mike Macdonald's doing with this defense, we'll be doing a dive on that this week as well. We'll have a live preview show with the Buccaneers game. I have Seahawks Aftermath tomorrow, 7:45 p.m. live with Michael Thompson. We'll get Mike's view on the Cardinals win, what he's expecting for them over the next 3-game stretch here, and looking ahead a bit to that Buccaneers game. So with all that being said, everyone, appreciate you, Sam, being on here and hanging out with me for the last hour and such. And outside of that, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.